The Simpsons predicted the playoff between Houston Texans and New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. Cold Massachusetts weather made everyone shiver. White and blue filled the stadium. Patriots fans are super excited. Texans fans traveled far from Texas. C.J. Stroud is ready for big game. Drake May prepared to lead Patriots offense. First quarter stayed close and tight. Stroud threw beautiful pass to Nico Collins. Collins caught it running fast for score. Texans got first touchdown, making 7-0. Drake May answered back, throwing to Demario Douglas. Douglas made great catch in end zone scoring. Game tied at 7-7, staying even. Houston led 14-7 after first quarter. In second quarter, brought more back and forth. Patriots tied game at 14-14. Texans scored, making it 21-14 lead. And halftime score showed 21-21 tied up. Third quarter stayed close tight. Will Anderson sacked May really hard twice. Texans took lead at 28-21 pulling. In fourth quarter games goes on, and after a close game, Patriots won finally with winning 35-28. Simpson predicted that XRP would become extremely powerful in 2026. In the episode, XRP's price rises to $10,000 while Bitcoin crashes to just $1, creating chaos in Springfield. Homer loses all his money after investing in Bitcoin, but Lisa advises Marge to buy XRP early, which makes their family rich. By the end, XRP becomes the world's main currency, leaving one big question: was this only a prediction, or was it planned long ago?
The world-famous scientist Nikola Tesla firmly believed that the pyramids of Giza were strategically placed in order to harness the Earth's natural energy. He believed that the pyramids could transmit energy available for everybody with no wires. So you're talking about a completely free, completely sustainable energy source available for absolutely everyone. So he did set out to try and prove this theory and conducted an experiment, and funnily enough, he ran out of money and nobody would fund it. And he never got any further forward with that. He later went on to make many other very successful discoveries and move humanity forward a lot, but my personal thoughts are there were people that didn't want him to be discovering free energy.
So the best flat earth proof is hidden in plain sight, right under your feet, bridges. And I'm not talking about the short ones you drive over in a few seconds, but those massive engineering marvels stretching for miles over open water. Take the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway in Louisiana. It's nearly 24 miles long, the longest continuous bridge over water in the world. Now, according to the globe model, the Earth curves about 8 inches per mile squared. Over 24 miles, that's a drop of over 380 feet. That means from one end of this bridge to the other, engineers should have accounted for a downward curve so dramatic the far end would seem to vanish from sight. But they didn't. The causeway is built dead level from end to end. Every support pillar is the same height. The road is perfectly straight. There's no gradual tilt, no banking, no curve correction whatsoever. And it's not just Louisiana. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge, the Vasco da Gama Bridge in Portugal, the Confederation Bridge in Canada, all of them span massive distances and are constructed flat because water below them is level. Engineers will tell you they factor in the curve in their surveying, but the designs themselves prove otherwise. If the Earth truly curved, a bridge over 20 miles long would need visible adjustments to meet the contour of the planet. Instead, these structures behave exactly as they would on a flat plane: level supports, consistent elevation, and no allowance for a giant ball beneath them. The next time someone tells you you can't see curvature because it's too subtle, remember, the people building billion-dollar bridges don't see it either. Not in their blueprints, not in their calculations, and not in the finished product. They're building for a flat reality, and most don't even realize it. This is for entertainment purposes.
Rare historical photos you won't see anywhere else. Narrow streets, Naples, Italy in the 1890s. Studebaker Wagonaire was known for its unique, retractable, sliding rear roof, which could also accommodate a slide-in camper in 1963. Two holidaymakers posing outside the Carlton Hotel in Caen in the south of France in 1958. A smiling Publix cashier standing beside her cash register in the 1950s. Women working at complex power looms at a blanket factory in the British town of Whitney in 1891. German colonial officials ride zebras in Dar es Salaam, German East Africa in 1914. A kid on a homemade wooden bicycle in Baltimore, Maryland in 1920s. 3 schoolgirls passing a mural of Elvis, Lower Ormo Road, Belfast in 1973.
Give the people bread and circus. Entertain them with little things so they won't focus on what is important. The Romans knew very well more than 21 centuries ago. 5th strategy. The message is very simple. Timsit says he speaks to the population, to the masses, as he says, as if they were 12-year-old children. And politicians do this very well, especially in election campaigns worldwide.
This is a very old interview, and it is still very relevant. What's even older is the schemes and concepts. They say all roads lead to Rome, and that ancient empire is the same empire that rules and controls today. Because power doesn't cease to exist, it just changes shape. And like the woman said, everyone's too busy, distracted, in a bubble. I find myself becoming more of an introvert every single day because I can't engage in such fickle conversations, reality TV, celebrity gossip, etc. And I just find myself even more ostracized.
They say giants died out, but what if they were silenced? Not by time, by design. What if they didn't disappear? What if they were taken out? Turned to stone, buried in mud. Cities erased. A global reset, engineered to wipe out bloodlines and sold back to us as a fairy tale.
And the doorways? The ones too big for humans? The ones with hinges the size of your head? They say it's just architecture. But who were they built for? Because some of those doors couldn't be installed today. Not without cranes, not without machines, and yet there they are.
The floods came fast. Some say natural. Others say it was targeted. Energy weapons. Ancient tech. A deliberate wipeout to erase a species that remembered too much. The giants weren't just tall. They were powerful. Tied to the old world grid. And when the world was flooded in mud, some say the giants were still alive. Not all of them made it out. They were fossilized in real time, turned to stone, shaped into hills, ridges, sacred sites. Their skin? Petrified. Their bodies? Still here. And the salt? That glowing pink Himalayan salt? It was mined from ancient seabeds. The ancients called it the blood of the giants. Full of iron, full of memory. That lamp on your desk might be someone's ribcage. Everything they told you was a myth might have been memory. Another truth hidden in plain sight.
This island, quite literally, is a sleeping, petrified giant. This is undeniable. If you think that this is a simple rock formation, you are out of your mind. The Bible told us about the Nephilim and the giants that used to roam this earth. All of our ancestors told us this as well, and the evidence couldn't be any more clear. Peace and love.
Were recently found in Antarctica. 5 days ago, they had the military go to Antarctica to investigate multiple pyramids. It was supposed to be a top secret mission, but it's already leaked. Also, like, how would you stay quiet about a pyramid? They're huge. Like, how would you miss this? Documents were found that said that they went to investigate because the pyramids were emitting an energy. These documents also stated that members of a certain society visit the pyramids for a reunion. But, like, how come we've never seen these pyramids? Like, it's not easy to hide a pyramid. They're not small. Why have we never heard about this before? It is believed that an ancient civilization constructed these pyramids in Antarctica, and that it has something to do with the UFOs, similar to the UFO conspiracy theories about the pyramids that we know in Egypt. Except these pyramids are 2 times the size of the ones in Egypt. And Antarctica is already a hub for conspiracy theories. I can make a whole other video about that. If you want me to update you as we find out more information about what's going on with these pyramids and what was leaked, I cannot, because this is a creepypasta. Send this to a friend to trick them. And if you want long-form content from me, go follow.
I'm a builder, and whenever I talk about these Tartarian buildings, my wife has to remind me to bring up the logistics. Talk about just how impossible it is to move stones of these size, especially without power tools. With little more than horse and buggy technology, they constructed all this, we're told. And yet, as a builder, I just have to call bullshit. All my fellow builders who have built anything also call bullshit. This is our repertoire. This is what we have to work with. Awesome diamond tip tools with infinite power. We can go to Home Depot and buy custom cut lumber of whatever we want. And we don't do much better than this. Like, sorry guys, this would pass inspection in most counties. And it really doesn't make sense that our buildings are so shitty when the old ones were so magnificent. You can say craftsmanship and pride and hard work, but I don't think so. This is a stone fucking palace, guys. And I'm sorry, this is not good enough proof that you built it. What is that motherfucker doing right there? No way we caught this fella working on this building. It's so dumb. Rather, I think that little fella built it as much as this artist built this one right here. This is all fake history. And I think the biggest truth they're trying to hide from us is that we're post-apocalyptic. We were more advanced once upon a time, and this is not, in fact, the high water mark. We are squatting in structures we did not build. Obviously, none of our structures look like this anymore. They look like dog shit. And it's no offense, again, as a builder, I'm not trying to shit on anyone. But just case in point, here is the Elks Temple in Tacoma, Washington. It has the same hanging fruit basket motif as the Capitol building. And this is just where the men of Tacoma get together and talk about their civil duties, right? A wealthy boys club of all the best men in town. And this is what they built. But this is what they built in Olympia. They weren't able to found one here. They had to build it themselves. And it's an absolute testament to the mediocrity of our current age. What's the good explanation for the fall off in quality? Here's a Mason temple, magnificent, Romanesque to the nine. Again, a shitty little sign outside. But look at the fucking size of this thing. And then juxtaposed to this modern Mason lodge that went up in the 80s, right? The other one went up in the 20s. This one went up in the 80s. That's only 60 years, guys. And that timeline should terrify everyone. This is the brewery. It shut down in the 20s. It's been here, abandoned ever since. God, I want to move in there yesterday. Renovate it. Make it a hotel. Make it something sick. But no, the city of Olympia or somebody owns it. They founded it. So you realize we're hemmed in by paper tigers. You can come out of the bushes at any moment and throw you in prison for something you definitely did. But like, we're all just doing what they are doing. We founded these buildings the same as them. And so I take great comfort in how recent all the bullshit is. I know that we're on top of centuries of bullshit, but all of these narratives aren't actually that old. 1907 is what I keep going back to. That's like my rock. Most of the psyops come from 1907. Of course, they are piggybacked by much older psyops, but I think the past is supposed to be exhausting. It's supposed to be not remembered well and like kind of like, man, I'm really glad we're done with the past and we can move on to the future. But I'm the complete opposite. I want to know what has happened here. Who controls the present now controls the past, and who controls the past controls the future. They absolutely have a stranglehold on all of our past lives. That's some bullshit, and I think it's time for it to be done. The lies are comical, and it still baffles me they have never been scrutinized before. But as they say, no time like the present. What a gift to be alive today.
Things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820, and yet it's on maps drawn in the 1500s with great detail, which again were based on much older source maps that have now been lost to us. The astonishing thing is the so-called Pinkerton world map. It just shows a hole where Antarctica is. A Wolsey-Wooler world map drawn in 1530 or thereabouts, you find Antarctica is present. Orontius Phineas map. That map shows Antarctica exactly where it should be. There's Antarctica at the tip of South America, just south of South Africa.
And what did they call it back then?
Well, they call it the Southern Land. And it's larger than it is today, but it was larger than it is today during the Ice Age. Antarctica was a much bigger. Now, what the fuck is it doing on a map drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s? To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization.
Wait, so the world is way bigger than we think?
Exactly. In outer space, that whole idea was made to trap our minds, keep us inside an invisible prison.
How would that even work?
Millennia ago, Richard Constantine, part of the ruling Primordian families from lands beyond the ice wall, discovered the continents we now call Earth. 7 massive lands, untouched, empty. But he didn't see them as places to explore. He saw the perfect containment zone, a world to populate, control, dominate for generations.
Containment zones? Like mind control?
Exactly. Richard invented the cosmic paradox, a psychological and geometric trick so massive it warped reality. He convinced everyone the ice wall wasn't a wall, just the bottom of a sphere, and the sky above was everything.
So the universe we see is engineered?
Not fake, just designed. Using celestial engineering, the Primordian families made us believe in an infinite universe, so no
I had just turned 15 and I was an extra in Bad Boys 2.
Really?
And yeah, they were shooting this club scene and they brought me in and I was wearing a Stars and Stripes bikini and a red cowboy hat and like 6-inch heels. And they took me to Mike and he approved it and they said, you know, Michael, she's 15, so you can't sit her at the bar and she can't have a drink in her hand. So his solution to that was to then have me dancing underneath a waterfall getting soaking wet.
Hollywood strikes again. Someone please explain to me, when is it ever okay for a 15-year-old, whether they're an actress or not, to be in a bikini with 5-inch heels at a bar? That is just disgusting and shameful to whoever allowed that, the producers of the film or whoever. Hollywood is clearly no place for child actors. How many videos have I posted with similar things? This is nothing compared to some of the other things. What a dark, evil and sinister place.
They are always going to put the truth in your face. Check out this commercial where they show the firmament and the waters above the firmament. What you just saw was biblically accurate. God's word states we live under a firmament that separates the waters above the firmament. We're in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. The Hebrew word for firmament is rakia, which is extended surface, solid expanse, the vault of heaven supporting the waters above it, considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting the waters above it. Well, what do y'all think about this commercial? Y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow me, and share this. Let's get this out to the people. And like always, God bless.
If you didn't know already, the US government is releasing the truth in a lot of their patents and documents that they have on their website. CIA, NASA, doesn't really matter. They're kind of admitting the truth. Here's a list here of every year that a US patent was released on how to control the weather. Feel free to search any of these patents up. Here's 3 documents from NASA admitting the Earth is flat and non-rotating. The DPS equations of motion use 4 assumptions that simplify the program while maintaining its fidelity for most maneuvers and applications: point mass modeling, non-turbulent atmosphere, zero-side forces, and a non-rotating Earth. This report documents the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Last one. The model frequently used is that of a flat, non-rotating Earth. But these new documents that I found last night on the CIA's website is gonna surprise you probably. Photographic observations of the spectral intensity of the firmament. The spectral brightness of the firmament along the alsacanter of the sun was observed. Here's a document. The color temperature of the firmament. Investigation on the zodiacal light. Provisional results obtained by the observation of the Soviet expedition in Egypt of the diurnal firmament can attain up to 70%. Guys, you're admitting it. There is a hard, fast barrier above us, and it's not called the Van Allen belts, just like the science community is trying to perpetuate now. They're trying to say that there's an impenetrable barrier in the sky, but it's not the firmament. It's the Van Allen belt. No, it's the firmament. They tell you the truth in the patents, in the papers, in the documents. They just hope that you won't go reading them. Me, I'm going to continue reading these patents, and I'm going to find the truth. And I'm going to keep exposing it, just like I'm doing on my podcast. If you want to check it out, link tree in my bio. We talk about a lot of things that could never talk about on here.
So this country in Antarctica,
what about it?
How long has it been there? Why doesn't anybody know about this?
Buddy, Agarthia is at least 10,000 years old. Look, when we first encountered the continent, they were already there, right? There's really no definitive way to measure how long they've existed, but look, obviously the highest ranking intelligence authorities are well aware of this place, okay? And the restrictive Antarctic treaties are the reason nobody else is. Look, the Agarthians, they don't want us in. They live within a city built on inconceivably complex architecture. Okay, pyramid-based energy systems that are reminiscent of ancient Egypt. Look, things we don't understand. We do believe that they have trade routes which lead through and beyond the ice wall, okay, connecting them to civilizations far out into the depths of the unknown lands, right? They are the bridge to a world which we have been closed off from, okay? They control the entire goddamn parameter of the ice wall. We've been studying them for decades to the best of our abilities, but it wasn't enough. And so, well, the CIA did the unthinkable, right? They captured a native Agarthian.
Well, you were certainly onto something when you said this is not, in fact, the Star of David. This is the Star of Remphan. Turns out in the Bible, there is no reference to the Star of David. It doesn't exist. It's not in the Hebrew Bible, it's not in the New Testament, and it's not in any encyclopedias. There is a star in the Bible, though, and it's associated with idolatry. I just need to explain a couple of words so that this makes sense. In Hebrew, the word for king is melech, which is the source word for Moloch, and Moloch is a pagan deity associated with child sacrifice by fire. Kiyun is a Hebrew word which in Greek is Remphan and is associated with the planet Saturn and this star shape. Quote, "You shall take up Sikuth, your king Moloch, and Kiyun, Remphan, your images that you made for yourselves. God turned away and gave them over to the worship the host of heaven," stars and planets. So if God's turning his back on you because you're worshipping stars and planets, it is a bit suspicious. "You took up the tent of Moloch," lovely child sacrifice god, "and the star of your god Remphan." The only star connected to the Bible is explicitly condemned. It belongs to Remphan and not Yahweh. There is no biblical authorization for a hexagram to be the symbol of Judaism. So can someone please explain to me how this has happened? Because it doesn't make any sense.
The Dogon tribe, what did they say? That the Nomo came from another star named Sirius B and brought them advanced knowledge of the universe. They came from space to this planet and sat with these people and taught them about star systems, planetary alignments, They taught them about every single planet in our solar system, the shape, the size, the color, the orbital periods, the equatorial periods, everything going on within our solar system and beyond. They had this advanced knowledge and still have it till this very day. They have this special ritual called the Ziggy, where they put these masks on and they do these alignment rituals only when specific stars and planets are aligned in space. And they do this with no telescope. And they know about these orbital periods of trinary star systems with no telescope. By the way, Sirius B can't even be seen by the naked eye on a great night. Because it's a failed star, it ran out of fuel, it became a white dwarf. Just like our sun is going to become a white dwarf, which is the point I was trying to make. Our sun's going to expand and it's going to shrink to a white dwarf. They even knew how much mass was in the white dwarf. You see, just because the sun shrinks down, it doesn't lose its mass. What happens is the mass is compressed and condensed so that one spoonful, if you were able to take a spoon and take a spoonful of the mass of a white dwarf, every human being on the planet together couldn't lift it. The Dogon tribe know this. They've made that exact statement. So they understand astrophysics on a level that we had to discover much, much, much later than them. Right? They knew this 7,000 years ago.
The Simpsons predicted Hulk Hogan's death in an old episode, and it was hiding in plain sight. In a very well-known episode, Springfield hosts a massive wrestling gala, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. The crowd screams, spotlights sweep the arena, and Hulk Hogan makes a triumphant entrance. He's at the peak of his glory, bulging muscles, red bandana, golden mustache, and that roaring voice. "What you gonna do, brother?" The audience goes wild. The Simpsons sit front row. Lisa, Bart, and Homer watch from the stands, mesmerized. But something's off in the background. On a giant screen, a date briefly flashes, July 24th, 2025. And it doesn't stop there. The rest is terrifying. But first, comment Rippy Hogan to honor the legend. In another scene, the locker room is shown. A calendar is pinned to the wall, July 2025. The 24th is circled in red. Even the beer that Homer spills on the floor is strangely named Real American, Final Brew. Moments later, the commentators say a chilling line. Even legends bow when the bell rings. 20 years later, to the exact day, Hulk Hogan dies at home on July 24th, 2025, from cardiac arrest.